Week 13's in the books. We were 8-8 on the Big Mountain, but 3-2 with ice cold locks. Let's break it down. The
regular season might be over, but we're back on the Big Mountain, where we give you a detailed focus on the Big Ten and the Mountain West.
Hey, it's great to have your back. Our last regular season, if you will, rapid reaction video. Steve, we went 8-8. Was hoping for a little better than that, although we did go 3-2 on our locks, so I'll take always being over 500 on our ice cold locks at 3-2. We're going to go down some of these games. We'll start with Steve with the Big Ten, so go for it, Steve.
Yeah, so I'll roll right into it. We had a couple games on Friday in the Big Ten. Well, so first of all, I went 4-3 overall, 1-1 on my locks. Maybe I got a little too excited on that, doing a lock for the Ohio State-Michigan game. But I'll talk about that a little bit here towards the end. So I'm going to start with the Friday games. Both Iowa and Penn State won. You and I talked about this. I really, really thought about locking Penn State.
Yep.
There was a big question about Drew Aller if he was going to play.
Yep.
I think that they would have easily won this game either way. But with Prbula in, it's much more. They're a more running team. Running attack. I mean, the guy, he just doesn't throw very many passes.
Yeah.
So I thought it could be a much, lower scoring game than that. But, Penn State just absolutely dominated this game.
Yes,
I think Michigan ended up with like 60 yards of total offense because of negative yards from sacks and stuff. They just dominated, easily covered the 20.5, and I guess I should have locked that one. Iowa, they covered as well. Against Nebraska to go 10-2, and they're cruising into that Big Ten championship game, the last one from the Big Ten East, Big Ten West alignment. So they're going in there at 10-2, so that was another win for us.
Yep.
So one that I think both of us were real happy about, Northwestern. Locked it. We both were, they were getting 5.5 points at Illinois.
Yeah.
We both thought that was crazy. We both thought Northwestern would probably just win the game straight up.
Yep.
So we've been riding that kind of train into the train station here at the end of the season, Northwestern.
Yep.
So we locked that. So I hope that made people some money. Definitely made me some money.
And again, a game they didn't need the points.
Yeah.
They're giving them points, and they said, screw giving us points. We don't need them.
That really didn't make any sense to me. Maybe I could see like Illinois 1.5 or something under a field goal just because it was at home. If Vegas thought it was a toss-up, but both you and I thought they would just win straight up, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
Indiana Indiana, that ended up being a close loss. Came down to the end, looked like they were going to win. Whatever. Indiana's Indiana.
I thought you had that one. Yeah.
Yes. We're going to talk about another episode. We have another episode we're doing about coaching search, and we're going to talk about Indiana's coaching situation. But they are what they are. Purdue is what they are, and it went down to the wire. We lost that one.
Yep.
Maryland, great game by Maryland. We picked Maryland minus 1.5. They easily covered the spread.
Yep.
I think they won by 2 touchdowns, maybe somewhere in the teens. Just great way for Maryland to finish. They're like I said, Rutgers maybe is a better overall team top to bottom right now. Mm-hmm. But Rutgers was coming out of that Penn State game. They were totally just beat up.
Yep.
It's the end of the season, and Maryland, their offense, Talia had another good day. So Maryland easily covered. That was a good win.
Well, Talia had a good day and set the Big Ten record, correct?
Yes.
I saw that on our Instagram channel. We was scrolling through some stuff, and he set the record there for the Big Ten, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's a guy, he can definitely put up numbers. We've talked about that, and that's why we rode them a lot this year as far as, they're going to put up points, and that's what they did yet again, so that was a nice cover for us. My last game I want to get into, I want to talk about the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Yes.
One point I want to bring up before I talk about the specific game, they were during kind of the pregame or the beginning of the game, the announcers were talking about their interviews with the teams and with the coaches and with the players and stuff, and it was brought up because I had a few Michigan fans give me some crap about, JJ wasn't hurt by Penn State, he was just fine, he just didn't need to throw the ball. Well, the announcing team, they said in their interviews, JJ told them straight up, the week of practice after the Penn State game leading up to Maryland, he could barely walk to practice.
Yeah.
He was so sore and beat up. And that really, I think, is why he didn't look so great against Maryland. We speculated about that, and that's really what it was.
Yep.
Another week, and obviously, the emotion of going into the Ohio State game,
right.
the most important game of the year for both of these teams. He looked like he was back to his old self again.
Absolutely.
A fantastic game. In some way, as a Penn State fan, I was thinking, is there any way both teams can lose? But obviously, I had locked Ohio State plus 3.5.
Yeah.
I said I think it's a coin flip game. It's going to be a close game. I thought Ohio State would pull it out. At the very beginning of the game, it looked like Michigan was just going to steamroll them. Yeah. Ohio State made some adjustments. They were able to kind of use the edges, start throwing downfield to Marvin Harrison. They got the running game going, made some adjustments, started scoring some points. It was kind of back and forth after that. Looked like either team could win. And then at the end of the game, basically Michigan, I think they had like an 8-minute drive where they drove down. At that point, they drove all the way down the field, and we were good with our lock. They were up 3. So we had Ohio State plus 3.5. Right. So, we thought we were good, but they were able to just basically almost run out the entire clock, kick that field goal, go up 6. Ohio State still had a minute to go, was driving down the field, and Kyle McCord, Kyle McCord looked really bad early in this game. He did kind of redeem himself. Was playing better. It helps when you have Marvin Harrison Jr. and you can just chuck him the ball. But he was playing better for sure after that first quarter. But at the end, he throws the interception. It was just too little, too late. So Michigan gets the big win. So we lost that lock. I think you were watching some of that game when you were texting. Do you have any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I didn't see much of the first quarter. I know you were texting me how awful you thought McCord was playing.
He was.
And then I watched pretty much from the end of the first quarter on. I saw the rest of the game. And JJ just looked like he was back to his, that was the JJ and the Michigan team I was on really heavy about 3-4 weeks ago. We do power rankings videos. You can go back. We just did one last week. And I've been high on Michigan until that last power ranking video. I just thought they were the best team, frankly, in the country, not just the Big Ten, but in the country. And that was the team on Saturday that
showed up.
That showed up and was the team that I had been touting there a couple weeks ago. But McCord, I thought, you mentioned some adjustments that Ohio State made in the second quarter. Looked really good in the second quarter. And then by halftime, you're going, okay, can they continue that into the second half? And I just felt like Ohio State in the second, they were just kind of chasing the game in the second half. They never really had control. I mean, did they have a chance there at the end? Yeah. I mean, it was a touchdown to a win. It was a 6-point game. And they were starting to drive the field until he threw that pick. Just got kind of rushed on that throw. And
I think his arm got hit as he
probably hit a little bit. Yeah, but clearly what you had said, I mean, you were kind of on the JJ thing after the Penn State game early on. And if you remember, that was really just a half of football.
Yes.
He didn't throw in the second half.
No.
So he's getting the ball. He's getting rid of the ball. I mean, he got beat up for the most part in one half of the football game.
Absolutely pounded.
Overall. And so, you were spot on with that. You alluded to that pretty early on. Of course, the Michigan fans would say, no, absolutely not. But he completely admitted to it.
Absolutely.
And it was kind of obvious. I mean, if you don't have blue and gold or blue and yellow,
maize and blue,
maize. Sorry, on you kind of, if you watch the game, you saw what happened. But really good game. I liked your pick at 3.5. It really was hopeful. Actually, we said I thought they'd win straight up. And just didn't do it. Michigan was the better team. Period. Michigan was the better team.
I want to talk about. I want to take another couple minutes to talk about this game. I want to talk about coaching. Okay.
Okay.
You and I, we've been going back and forth.
Absolutely.
On coaching. Obviously, both of these teams have great players. High talent. Probably 2 of the top 5 most talented teams in the country. Maybe the 2 top talented teams in the country. I'm sure Georgia would object to that.
Sure.
Maybe Alabama. So both teams have talent. That's no question whatsoever. I do. I really actually think it came down to coaching, and so much was made about Harbaugh being out,
right?
Being suspended. We've done multiple videos about it. Everyone was focused on that. You got to give a lot of credit to the assistant coaches for Michigan. I think, and I should have written his name down. I think it's Sharon Moore. Who was basically like the interim coach.
That sounds right.
That day, and all the other assistants. You got to give them so much credit to get through. and coach these games, and they were super aggressive.
Yes.
You know me, we talk about this all the time. Aggressive coaches win games. Now, there is a line there of you don't want to go pure stupidity.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: they were aggressive because they believed in their offense, they believed in JJ, they believed in their defense, and I think they went 4 for 4 on fourth down. Every time the game was on the line and there was a play, and they could either turtle or they could put their faith in their team to get it done. They put their faith in their team, and the guys did it and got it done. So I got to give the coaches a lot of credit. On the opposite side, Ryan Day, you and I have been we've been complimentary of him as a play caller.
Yes.
And I really think he did make some good adjustments to the play calling to adjust in game. However, I really questioned the end of the first half. They're going down. They have, I think there was maybe about 30 seconds on time on the clock. They had a chance to go down, get some points, push the envelope a little bit, be aggressive. You have Marvin Harrison Jr., the best wide receiver in the country, maybe the best player, and they wouldn't give him one shot to try and get downfield, get closer to maybe get 7 points, maybe get an offensive pass interference. He let the clock bleed down, just wasted 30 seconds of time when you could get some points to kick a 52-yard field goal.
Right.
Okay? Like, it's one thing if they were down there and they're on the 30 and it's, 4th and 13 or whatever. I totally get it. But they had an opportunity there, and they didn't even take one shot. Just bled the clock down to nothing to kick that. And they end up losing basically by one score.
Right. And
they didn't even try for real points. A 52-yard field goal in college is probably less than a 50-50 proposition.
Yeah.
Again, I would have just liked at least take a shot, because if you throw an incomplete pass to Marvin Harrison, you can still kick that field goal if you want to. But if you get an offensive pass interference or something, you get another play down closer to get 7. And the contrast between those two things, the Michigan coaches, time after time, they were aggressive, they believed in their players, they pushed the envelope, and they wanted to go out and win the game. Whereas Ryan Day kind of played like he was afraid to lose the game yet again. He didn't want to lose 3 times in a row. And that was his coaching style. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox now. It's something you have brought up multiple times about coaching with Penn State and their offense. To me, it was a very noticeable difference between the two coaching staffs.
Right.
I think the talent is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Or pretty equal. But to me, Jim Harbaugh's staff, and even though maybe he's a cheater, whatever, but the way he's been gone and the way his staff has performed, you got to give the Michigan coaches a lot of credit. So that's it for me and my Big Ten picks. How'd you do this week, JY?
All right. Well, before we get there, I have a gift for you.
Okay.
Steve.
All right.
First time ever.
Oh boy.
First time ever. I mentioned this the other day. This is a little corny.
Okay.
But I know it's not Christmas yet.
All right.
But it's a Black Friday deal.
Okay.
Open that sucker up.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
You know what it is.
I think I know what it is, but some of the pranks we played on each other over the years, you just never can tell.
It's not a prank.
Okay. Ooh, I'm liking it already.
Stick that baby on there, Steve.
I'm loving it.
I hope it fits.
I do have a giant noggin.
It's one size fits all.
Okay.
But anyway, so Steve has been now on, I think it's 3 weeks in a row that he's been on the Northwestern bandwagon. I told him last week I was going to get him a hat. There it is, the Northwestern hat. Wear it proudly.
Love it.
So let's get into the Mountain West. So Friday we had 2 games. What I said was the game of the week, the Air Force at Boise, because I said whoever wins this game is highly likely going to make the championship game. And it was a great game. Watched the entire game. Ended up 27-19. It was a game that I locked for Boise. They did cover that at 6.5. Green was quarterback again because Madsen is injured.
Yeah.
And, Green's one of those guys, and, we were able to watch most of this game together. Yeah. Just don't throw the interception. Don't turn the ball over. Don't turn the ball over. Well, he turns it over twice. He throws 2 interceptions. The second one, just a horrendous throw. I mean, there's no reason he should be making that throw. Both of them really not good throws. First one was in the daggone end zone. He ends the game 13-17, 228. But they are a running machine. They have Halani, they have Genty, second game in a row. They're both healthy and ready to roll. And 184 rush between the two of them, plus Green. Genty with another 118 yards receiving. He had 2 touchdowns in total. It's really almost a two-headed monster
Absolutely.
there. Just really good stuff from Boise. They are rolling into this championship game. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but really impressed by Boise. I will say, you were big into Boucher, as I think how you say it, the Air Force quarterback,
Yes.
whom didn't even start the
Right.
game. Barnett, I believe, is who started for most of the whole first quarter. They bring Boucher in there at the end of the first half, I should say, the first half. He ends up throwing the ball, moving him down the daggone field.
Yep.
I kind of wonder what happens in this game if he plays the whole game, honestly. I still think Boise wins it, but I'm not sure they necessarily cover the game. So yeah, you don't like to talk bad about coaches.
Yeah.
But I know the past few weeks you've really been questioning a little bit of the coaching there at Air Force.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Air Force's coach runs a great program. They have a lot of limitations. He does a great job overall. Some of his in-game decisions of which quarterback to play, when to kick, when to not, when to go for it. Not, I question a lot of his in-game decisions like that. But yeah, Boucher, to me, if they would have come out from the get-go with him, they could have put a lot of pressure on Boise.
Yep.
They didn't do it. Boise was overall the better team,
Yep.
and like you said, with Genty and Halani, the two-headed monster. Against the Air Force team that's been pretty solid against the run all year.
Yes.
And they just rolled over them. Green, I don't have any faith in Green.
No.
I think he kind of holds this team back.
Yep.
But it is what it is. Madsen's injured. I don't know if there's any possibility of him coming back. So he's the guy they're going to roll with.
Yep.
He obviously can run this offense, but you just wonder every time, is he going to throw that crazy dumb interception?
Yep. Very, very concerned about Green's potential of turning the ball over there. So started out great. Then my other Friday game was Utah State at New Mexico. A double O-team thriller, high-scoring game, 44-41. Utah State does end up winning it, but they don't cover. I took them at -5.5. They only cover by 3, so they weren't able to get that cover. Utah State was actually using their third-string quarterback, Levi Williams. Their top 2 quarterbacks were out. Still able to put up 44 points, even with a backup QB. And I will say, I got to give a shout out to New Mexico's running back, Krosky Merritt here. 233 rushing yards and a touchdown, just running the ball all over Utah State there. But so I come out of Friday at 1-1, but I hit my lock, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Yep.
The other, if there was a second game of the week, let's go right to the San Jose State at UNLV game. Ended up at 37-31. Again, San Jose State for maybe the 4th straight week or something crazy. They just are ready to play, coming out with scoring tons of points. You thought this was going to be a massive blowout early on. UNLV sticks around, and they make it close at the end. Again, 37-31. I had taken UNLV at home at -2.5. Obviously, they didn't cover that. Robinson for San Jose State, again, proving that he is a legit runner. 165 rush yards, 2 touchdowns. He actually sets a San Jose State Spartan record with 20 touchdowns in a season. So shout out to him. Great season for him. And UNLV, just looking, frankly, I thought they looked a little out of sorts. I wasn't able to watch the whole game. I was able to figure out this was on the Mountain West app.
Yeah.
So once I finally figured that out, I could watch some of the game. And I will just say, if you did watch it, the Mountain West app better get some neutral commentators, because these two guys, especially the color guy, was super UNLV one-sided. He was trying not to be, and he kind of caught himself out a few times. But if I was a Spartan fan, I probably would have muted the damn thing, because very one-sided in terms of calling the game.
Can I say a couple things
Absolutely,
there? So one, if Mountain West app's anything like BTN Plus,
Okay.
they usually, for those kind of things, they use a sports intern type guy for the home team. And yes, it's always ridiculous. Both of us are wrestling fans.
Yeah.
When I watch wrestling matches on BTN, and it's always the local, like some 20-year-old local kid that goes to the college that's just a total fanboy.
Yep.
And you're like, what am I listening to? So I'm gonna guess that's a similar thing.
No, it sounded like older guys.
Oh, okay. But they probably used an in-house. Somebody
I'm
in-house.
guessing they were.
Yeah.
And I don't, if you guys know who they use, I think the app's pretty new in terms of them doing this. So, and maybe it was just the hometown guys they plugged into. that was supposed to be neutral,
Yeah.
and they were not neutral. But
Well, my other question for you on this is, and I was going to save this for later, but we're talking about the game, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you. I didn't get to see any of this game, but I'm just kind of following along and whatever. Do you really think, in your opinion, do you think UNLV really gave it the full effort in this game, or they already were basically locked into the championship game?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What's your opinion on
Well,
that?
and they were basically locked in. I mean, if San Jose State was going to catch anybody, they were going to catch Boise,
right?
Or Air Force, whoever won that game. And obviously, they knew Boise won the game, so they were trying to catch Air Force in their computer points.
Yes.
And speaking of that, we are going to did just come out with or going to be coming out with an episode on the championship game. We'll get into that a little bit and how this was all figured out. But I'll be honest with you, and I haven't been able to watch a ton of UNLV games like I have some of the other games, so it may be just a small sample size for me. But they're towards the end. Yes, they did do an onside kick.
Yeah.
They ended up stopping them. They got the ball back. But even in their 2-minute drill, running the ball, didn't seem overly excited to try and push it downfield.
Yeah.
It really felt like that they just wanted to keep the game close.
Yeah.
Like they weren't going balls to the
Not
wall.
getting embarrassed.
They didn't have to.
Yeah.
And I don't, I know we have some San Jose State fans that are listeners, and they're not going to like me saying that. But I will say the Rebels just didn't look totally interested in trying to come back and win the game per se. So they did everything that you would want them to do. Again, an onside kick.
Yep.
They tried to win it, but just the play calling at the end. It's not the play calling you would have expected from a team that's down.
Not a desperation.
Not a desperation team, for sure. So it was almost like, let's keep it close. We know we're in. I don't know if that's the case. That's a scary thing to do, honestly. I mean, that can throw you off for your next game because you're not playing the way you should. So that's all. I often wonder teams that do that, and I don't know if they did it here or not, but teams that do that, it usually, you look at the NFL and them sitting players and stuff, it backfires all the time on teams. So who knows?
Well, I think there is, too, a difference between there are teams that intentionally sandbag. The NFL, holding out players, they're intentionally sandbagging because they don't care if they win or whatever.
Yeah.
There is also something to say about when one team has everything to play for, they're desperately trying. They know they have a chance to get into a championship game if they can win. And the other team is like, we're probably already in. They might not have that level of desperation to be able to kick up the intensity level one notch. So maybe it was something like that.
Couldn't tell you. Don't know. But I will say the end was, I was scratching my head a bit.
Yeah.
That I would have expected a little bit of a different play calling scenario than what they gave. But who knows? So let's go to the Wyoming and Nevada game. Oh my gosh. I watched this game. This looked like a college team versus a high school team. Not to knock the Wolfpack, but caramba. I thought early on they knocked out the starting quarterback who was coming back from an injury.
Yep.
I should say starting for this game.
Yeah.
Knocked him out. Then the very first play of who I think is their third string quarterback gets completely blown up. I'm like, they're going to knock this guy out. They're not going to have any quarterbacks left. And I hate to put it that it sounds so bad to the Wolfpack here, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good. The Wyoming Cowboys came to get their first win on the road, which is ridiculous, but their first win on the road in the season. You could tell they were playing for something. They wanted an 8-win season. They wanted a win on the road, and they just dominated this game. I took them at -11.5, blow it out of the water by 36 points. And Peasley, again, looked phenomenal. Running, passing, Whaley's there to run. I hope these guys get a really good bowl. We might get into that a little bit. I saw maybe a little bit of SMU or Rice or, some of these high-powered offenses. I think it'd be really interesting to see the Cowboys play an SMU or a Rice, somebody like that.
SMU's offense versus Wyoming defense, that would be a matchup to watch.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of this game, too, and the defensive line, I mean, Wyoming's defensive line just busting through with abandon almost every play.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the quarterbacks. I really think the first guy, like, he took a couple hits and he just ran over to the sideline, got on the medical table, was like, keep me out of here. I don't want to go anymore.
Yeah, those Wyoming Cowboys, they got some serious fronts, both O and D lines. So I'm 2-2, and then again for the second straight week, at least the second straight week, I get to the late night at least East Coast, late night games, and they both let me down again. Fresno at San Diego State. I locked the Bulldogs. Keene was back. I thought they'd want to have a nice bounce back to end their season. It just didn't happen. San Diego State wins 33-18. The time of possession here was about 2-1, so 40 minutes for the San Diego State Aztecs, about 20 minutes for the Bulldogs. And, Fresno State, the team that you thought was the most likely to get to the Mountain Championship game, loses their last 3 games. They're outscored 100-53 in their last 3, almost 2-1 in their last 3 games, and they played New Mexico as one of those games.
Yes.
It boggles my mind. I don't know what happened up over there in Fresno, but I lost this lock, and good on San Diego State. They're giving Hoke a proper goodbye to retirement send off. And, the Bulldogs, what the hell happened?
Hard to understand what happened with Fresno to end the season. I mean, I know the starter was hurt, missed some games. But, I mean, to go from where they were up ranked in the top 25 nationally, have a chance for, a New Year's Six Bowl, and just completely crap the bed down the end of the season. And I think they lost to two of the teams that we had towards the bottom of our Big Mountain Power rankings there towards the end. Just unexplainable. I'm baffled.
Yeah, well, they lost to San Jose State, then New Mexico, and then of course San Diego State. San Diego State. I mean, San Diego State has done better towards the end of their season. Just a really disappointing season for them overall. The last one was the CSU at Hawaii. Again, I took CSU at -5.5. Hawaii wins this game straight up. So again, just a season of up and downs for the Rams. You can't figure this team out.
Nope.
They win a game, you don't think they should. Then they lose a game, you don't think they should. They're frankly on the opposite side of where you think they're going to be the whole freaking year. I'm not even going to try to break that down. They should have won the game, being the team that they are. And I just don't think they are the team that people think they are. Everybody talks about Colorado State historically being one of the bigger, but they're just not a great team right now. They really need to shore things up on defense.
I think they got so much credit early in the season for almost beating Colorado, and then kind of people realized Colorado wasn't any good either.
Yeah,
just two bad teams.
Yeah,
just taking swings at each other.
Good point. Good point.
It's like watching two drunk guys take swings at each other and not even hitting.
Well, and they got that stupid win against Boise too, right?
Yeah, weird win.
So anyway, let's go to the out of conference. I was high on all 3 of these games that I picked. So the first one I'm going to talk about was the Apple Cup. I watched pretty much the entire game. Such a fun game to watch. Props to the Cougs and keeping this sucker close. Yeah. Honestly, you saw Penix at the end of the game. He couldn't even watch. That's how much this game meant to these teams. That's how much the Cougs just put it all on the line. Yep. Cam Ward looking fantastic. Yep. In my opinion, played as good as Michael Penix did. Michael Penix just has nothing against the receivers of the Cougs. That Odunze character is just... He's amazing. He's amazing.
He is really good, but honestly, Coleman, the DB, was... I think outplayed Odunze. Like, he was on him. He was amazing.
And so that's one of the top 2 receivers maybe in the league, and shows you how good of a DB. Yep. And after the game, you and I talked. We go, how in the hell did Washington State lose? Was it 7 in a row or whatever the hell it was?
And it's ridiculous because they deserve to go to a bowl. I just don't understand what happened.
I don't either. But anyway, I took Washington State plus 16.5. Easily cover that. So. Props to a great game. Feel bad for the Cougs. They're not pulling that out because that would have been a huge upset win. And it was just a great game to watch.
Yeah, it was a great pick. I kind of doubted that pick a little bit. I thought Washington might just blow them out. Great pick by you. And honestly, behind maybe the game, Michigan and Ohio State, this was probably the game of the week. I watched a lot of football this week. And from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all throughout, this was probably the second best game of the weekend.
It was a great game. The other one then that I took was a lock on Kansas at Cincy. I said, is this a trap? 6.5? How the hell is Kansas only a favorite by 6.5?
Yeah.
And they played and blew them out just like I expected them to blow them out. So an easy win. They're probably one of the easiest locks that I had. And a lock should be an easy win.
Yeah.
Lord knows if you've been watching, I struggle with my locks a little bit. So Kansas did what I thought they could do. They made me then 2-1 on my locks for the weekend, which made me really happy. The other one then I took UTSA plus 3.5 over Tulane. I said Tulane is just due for a loss. UTSA turns the ball over 5 flipping times.
All in the first half.
And yards here, UTSA has more yards. UTSA has more first downs, 21-13. They were the better in terms of when you look at stats. They were the better offense. And I said going into it, they have the offense to do this. But if you turn the ball over 5 times, it don't really matter much. So really disappointing there. I really like that pick. As I said, I really like my 3 out of conferences, and the Roadrunners just coughing the ball over too much. I will say the Tulane SMU game, I think is going to be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Again, I think Tulane's due for a loss. I keep saying it. Maybe because I'm saying it, they keep winning the damn thing. But SMU has just gotten better and better and better. So highly likely I'm going to make a pick in that game. But yeah, the Roadrunners didn't get it done.
The 5 turnovers, we were watching a little bit of that game. 5 turnovers in the first half, just absolutely crazy. How do you overcome that? And it all comes down to, I think, maybe it's a little crazy for us mortals to bet bet money on what college kids are going to do from week to week. So
good point.
Just craziness.
Yeah. Hey, couple things before we get into our slides. So we just opened our merch shop, Steve.
Yeah.
We have 3 logos that are going to be out there right now. We only have 1. Waiting on the shop to approve the other 2 logos. So if you're waiting on either our primary or our secondary, they will be up soon, I promise. And if you want to check it out, we did just release a video on that, so you can go back to the video. I'll also put the link in the description of this video, so you can go right to that shop and look at all the goodies we got on there. And the other thing I wanted to mention is we are on Instagram, so you can check us out on there. Really just the same type of stuff we're getting on the YouTube, but just putting it in 2 different places. So you're not going to get anything new, at least for now, on Instagram. But we do have an Instagram channel and a Facebook channel. So if you like all that kind of stuff, you can check us out on there. Give us a like if you like. A like if you like. So with that, hey, let's go over where we were at for Week 13, and then also our cumulative picks for the entire college football season. All right, and that's where we stand with the Big Mountain after 13 weeks. Hey, we just came out with a coaches video talking about coaches that have been fired, maybe who teams are going to be looking for here. And then we're also going to be coming out with a Mountain West Championship game summary. That'll be coming out here in about a day. And Steve, I think you had something else you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so this is the last week of the regular season. We're closing up shop on the regular season.
Yep.
We do still have a bunch more videos to go, so people, for our subscribers, our viewers, keep watching. We have some more episodes coming up. We're going to keep, and then I think we're hoping to do some recaps for the season.
Yep.
And then rolling right into spring, we're going to cover things like the transfer portal, all kinds of exciting things. And then doing previews for next year.
Yep.
A lot of big exciting things are going to be happening. The Big Ten, those new teams are going to be adding. There's going to be a lot of exciting news, I'm sure, with the Mountain West and maybe a couple pack teams, other pack teams. So now that's being the end of the regular season, I want to give 2 thank yous. One, first, thank you to our viewers, our subscribers. We just started this year. We're just 2 guys having fun. And we're over 500 subscribers now, which is pretty amazing.
Pretty awesome.
We had a video get over 15 or 16,000 views.
Yep.
It's almost unbelievable that 15, 16,000 people want to watch us talk. So that's my first big thank you. My second thank you is to you, JY.
Oh my goodness.
This was your idea. You and I, we've been doing this for years, just sharing each other picks, betting picks, talking about college football. We've been great friends since childhood. And I'm so glad to thank you for convincing me to do this. JY is the brains behind the operation, set all of this up, convinced me to do it. It was his idea. And so thank you for convincing me to do this. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm really looking forward to continuing this throughout.
It's been a freaking blast. I've enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And yeah, just to piggyback on that, I mean, we're going to stay on everything college football.
Yep.
You know, like I said, we're going to talk about coaches, ins and outs, and firings and hirings. We're going to stay on the Pac-12, Pac-2. Goodness, I know you have another probably ACC, maybe Big Ten type of deal coming out here shortly.
Yep.
So, I mean, we're going to be blowing new videos out here every couple days. I mean, we're going to try to keep you guys up to date on stuff. And we are going to be doing picks on, obviously, the Big Ten, the Mountain West Championship game. There'll probably be a few others that I want to pick. I already took plus 7.5 on Washington. And then we're also going to, we talked about this, we're going to pick every bowl game.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles. We're not going to keep it cumulative with, all of this stuff that we've been doing over the course of the season. But we're going to be doing every bowl game. Even teams we know very little to nothing about. We're still going to do it because, again, it's fun. It's shits and giggles. You can give us your opinions on it. So, hey, I want to echo Steve's thank you to our viewers, to our subscribers. Really appreciate you guys only doing this for about 3 months.
Yep.
And it's crazy how much people seem to enjoy us. We love the comments. We've got some really good commenters and subscribers here. And thank you to you, Steve. You call me the brains. You're the brains.
No.
I just try to make this stuff work okay and hit the right buttons and put it online. So anyway, hey, we thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.